and welcome to another episode of NAPO's podcast, Stand Out. I'm productivity catalyst Clare Kumar and always thrilled to be your host. Today we have an interesting conversation. This episode is dropping in December, and we're very excited for an event in NAPO's calendar, which comes up every January, Go Month. Now, I've been a member for 11 years, I think it is, and counting of NAPO, and there are so many rich opportunities that I've participated in, from conference and special interest groups and more. But I'll tell you, I live up in Canada, and Go Month hasn't really been a thing up here. So I thought, you know what, I want to better understand this. And I think it's really important and a great opportunity for all listeners to understand what's involved in Go Month. And I thought, who better to help us understand than our very own president, Amy Tokos. So before I bring Amy into this conversation, I want to give you a little bit about her background. So I didn't know this, but her background is in engineering. She previously worked in manufacturing, about being simpler and more efficient. It's known as lean manufacturing. You've probably heard of it. The lean thinking just carried over naturally into her home, and now she brings it into the homes of her clients. Amy is a certified professional organizer, CPO, and a productivity expert. She's the owner of Freshly Organized in Omaha, Nebraska. Her organizing tips have been featured in major outlets such as the New York Times, Forbes, and Good Housekeeping. Amy, I want to give you an extra warm welcome today.
Thank you, Claire, for having me. This is such fun to be on the podcast.
Well, we've been having a lot of fun this year with amazing guests, NAPO members and beyond. And I'm really thrilled to have you and your depth of knowledge of NAPO. First of all, maybe you can tell me, when did you become a NAPO member? And maybe give me a little history of what pieces, how have you been participating in NAPO and in your journey to becoming president?
Yes. So I joined NAPO in 2008, and it was the very first thing I did in starting my business, which is different than a lot of people's stories. A lot of people have a business and they're chugging along, and then they discover NAPO and come to NAPO. But for me, I was like, ooh, I want to do this. How do I do it? Who's my resource? And so I stumbled upon NAPO and said, well, I'm going to join that group because they know what they're doing. and I'll tell you, in 2008, when I was starting, it was pivotal in my development and my business growth because I had immediate resources. I had that point community to ask questions, which was huge to be able to tap into the veterans.
Oh my gosh. Yes. We have members that have, part of NAPO for many, many years, and it is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to connect. So I love that you brought that up. I wonder if we can jump in to talk about Go Month, and then we'll zoom out again and we'll talk about more of the rich opportunities that are available for us. But Go Month in particular, it's Get Organized Month. And tell me what we should expect to hear from NAPO, what is NAPO putting out, and tell me how listeners can become engaged and be an integral part of this movement.
Yeah, good questions, Claire. So I will tell you, Get Organized Month is really our 1 month that NAPO focuses on our clients, and it focuses on getting out the message of, look at these resources we have. All of these people are here to help you be more productive, be more organized, whatever it is. So we're going to be highlighting members and sharing tips and tricks the whole month. And what you can do if you're an organizer, or even if you're not an organizer or professional productivity consultant, you can share the tips and tricks for everybody to see. And you can say, this is my association. This is what I'm a part of. This is my job. This is my business, whatever it is. And you can highlight January, which is just a natural time that everybody is wanting to be more productive and organized. It's one of the top New Year's resolutions. So it aligns very nicely with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, so I love it. So we'll be putting out valuable strategies and practical things people can do. So if it's part of your business and it will connect with your audience, you could, for example, link to a social media post and maybe even write a blog post kicking off from that and sharing it. So there's lots of different opportunities for the sharing of that knowledge. Maybe you expand on it with your clients. I always like reaching out to my clients with a relevant article or something that I think will be helpful. It's sort of warms up another potential interaction and an opportunity to discuss where they might need some more help.
Right. I think that's awesome. And it also shows your client that you are not the person thinking of all this stuff. You have this whole background of resources that are lifting you up and making you a better provider of your services because you've got that knowledge base. You're willing to learn, you're willing to listen, and you're willing to share. And some people may not be comfortable writing a blog post per se, but what you can do is just hit share. And then you can say, oh, I love this tip, share. And then it goes out to all of your clients or your friends, and then they can carry it on. And so it's kind of just elevating our industry by saying, hey, we are an association of professional organizers and productivity consultants. Watch us. We're great. We're fabulous.
So I like this. Yeah.
I love Go Month. It's like one of my favorite times of the year.
So I like it because in NAPO's mission, we are talking, awareness is part of the objective. So getting the word out about what we do as professionals, but this is taking it a little bit further and saying, not only this is what we do, but here's some things you can actually implement. So yeah, because a lot of what we do is around the growth and skill development of our members as well. So that's the nuance. This Go Month in particular is really around, hey, here's some resources that you can share out with your clients.
Yes. And I like that you mentioned a lot of our mission is about the growth of our membership. And because it's about developing our members. It's about our members' success. I mean, really, that is probably the key to why we have an association. It's to support our members so they're successful. They're successful in their business. They're successful in their education. They're successful in however they want to be successful in their profession.
Yeah. You mentioned just a little earlier NAPO Point when you were talking about your history. In case somebody's listening and they don't know what that is, can you expand on that a little bit? Because it's such a rich place of interaction.
Oh my goodness, it is. I will tell you, when I first started, I used to be on Point all the time. And now I'm a reader of it. And there are some really engaged members in there, but you can put on any type of question you have on Point. So you could say, I'm working with somebody who has some time management challenges, and these are some things I've tried. Here's what I'm struggling with. Does anybody have any ideas? And you will get a slew of people give you resources and say, read this article, or have you tried this? And it just gives you options and ideas. And then the key to that is then you can bring it to your client and say, I consulted with my colleagues. That's what I always say. And here are some ideas. Do we want to try this? I thought this might be working for you, or something like that. So the discussions on there can vary from, are you in this zip code? I need some help with an unpack. I have a client.
To find subcontractors to or maybe a referral.
Or a referral, something like that. Or it could be questions about a product. I'm looking for a product to solve this. Or it could be, some more types of psychology type of things. Have you tried Pomodoro technique? Or have you, there's some things, there's all sorts of questions and discussions that are on there that if you read it every day, you're just going to be a more informed professional. And if
No
you,
doubt. So the tips and tricks are one thing, but we also get into the psychology of making decisions and emotional
right,
pieces and all of the different niches that we serve too. You'll find expertise in move management and ADHD and office filing and the kitchen and the garage. Like there will be somebody who will have something of value to share with you. It amazes me. And many people writing a book, it's not only the practice of organizing, it's the business building side is there too, right? So
exactly what I was
authors,
thinking.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where my head was going too, because we have this, how do we service our clients? But there's
Hmm.
also this piece of how do we run a business? Like,
Hmm.
what are some marketing things that you guys have tried that are, winners in your area, or writing a book, or wherever you need support, that's what this community can give you.
Most definitely. And I didn't know to expect all of that. I think when I first became a NAPO member, it's a really rich and so the point is one place we can connect. What are other ways that NAPO members can really sort of build relationship with other organizers and productivity professionals? What are other options for NAPO members?
There's tons of options. I'm just going to tell you that. So you can determine how engaged you want to be and how many things you want to do.
Hmm.
There's plenty to do. And so pick what works best for you. There's anything from a book club with
Hmm.
10 people reading a book related to productivity or organizing, or you can join a chapter, which is more local people. Or for me, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't have a chapter,
Hmm.
but there we had an informal group of NAPO professionals that met every month just informally. And so we didn't have a formal chapter, but we had this group. Or the other thing is I'm a member of the virtual chapter,
I was
which
just going to ask about that. Yeah.
yeah, which is an opportunity for people who don't have a local chapter.
Hmm.
And here's what I'll say about the virtual chapter is you the best part of the virtual chapter, I love the monthly meetings, but you get to meet up at conference. And that's when you get to like celebrate and you get to meet all these people that you've met virtually and you get to see them in person. So it's like, it's the best.
It's the in real life part. And
Right.
and yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned conference because I did want to come to that. We'll be doing a whole podcast episode on that shortly because that's not going to be far around the corner. It's in April in 2022. And I wanted to talk to you because I've been to numerous NAPO conferences. And I mean, you have to plan to manage your energy because there's so much good learning and so much good social connection. And then usually there's a place you want to visit around, I remember being in the lazy river in Phoenix, having one of the best meetings, floating down the river kind of thing. There's so much richness in that. But maybe you can talk about your experience around the different conference experiences you've had and maybe even some things we might look forward to.
Yeah, well, this year we're in Baltimore, which is pretty exciting. And we're planning in person, which is another very exciting thing we haven't been in person since
Yeah.
2019. And so we're
Yeah.
excited about that. They just released the program and the
Hmm.
programs looks really amazing.
Yeah. I just went through it last night, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I did. Yeah.
lots of new types of programming, which is exciting.
Hmm.
And our focus this conference is really going to be again on the member and member opportunity to engage with each other at conference, and
Hmm.
also focusing on member success and what our members are achieving. I just saw a survey, and we started out, 30, 40 years ago as a profession, and it was a kind of a cottage industry of part-time, women working to help people get organized.
Mm.
And we've turned into $1 million revenue generating profession. We have members that are making money doing this and
Mhm.
making a lot of money. And so I think we need to celebrate that. And we have to say, we are making it, we're doing it. So it's kind of fun. But you know what? You said something about managing your energy. I
Mhm.
am so with you, Claire, because there's so much opportunity to socialize with your friends
Yeah.
and meet new people and take classes and
Yeah.
um it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 conferences that I was a product, the exhibitor in the expo. I was presenting and trying to attend things, and that's a recipe for a bit of burnout. I'll just say that right there. It's a lot. Was it ever fun though? Oh my gosh, was it ever fun? Because if you do happen to, if you're listening and you think about exhibiting at NAPO, it is an amazing opportunity because you meet everybody. You have a chance to connect. And we met there many years ago. We're trying to figure out which one it was, but there were
Yeah.
so many.
Yeah.
And so it's this wonderful opportunity to connect and to learn both business tracks and deeper insights about skill in the profession as well, from within the membership and also beyond the membership. I know you're bringing Crystal Washington in, and little side story, she was the former podcast host for the NSA podcast. So before I jumped into this, I reached out to her and said, can we have a chat? Can we have a chat? Like, how was the experience? And we had a conversation, and based on what she said, I'm like, I'm all in for this. So
You know
yeah.
what? I have seen some of her reels and I am
Mhm.
super excited. I'm just like, I'm like, great find. I give high kudos to the conference program committee for
Uh-huh.
locating her and spotting her and saying she's someone who can resonate with our membership. And
Yeah,
I
I'm excited. I was messaging her last night saying, "Hey, I just realized you're going to be there in April. This is so exciting."
that's
She's like,
good.
"Oh my gosh, small world,
Yeah.
right?" So, yeah, so I'm very excited too, and the robustness of the content. So, if you're a listener right now, if we've got a listener out there who's thinking, "I don't really know what the first step to take is to get involved in NAPO and to become part of this organization and be not only a member but a rich participant." Do you have any thoughts on what you would say, here, think about this?
You know what I would say is if you join or when you join, um, take it in and find the opportunities that resonate with you because I'm an introvert. Okay. You
Mhm.
may not, some people are like, you're an introvert. I am an introvert, but
Mhm. Managing energy is super important, right?
super important, very important.
Hmm.
Um, so it took me a couple years to get to conference after I joined. Like I joined in
Hmm.
2008 and I didn't go to conference till 2010
Uh-huh.
because, well, for one, I didn't have a revenue on
Right.
2008 because I mean, like NAPO was the first thing I did. But
It's often the case, and this is why I brought up the question, because yeah, so I want to let you finish, but I have a thought. Okay, go,
okay,
go ahead.
so identify a small community that you can
Mhm.
start being a part of. If or you can go big, but you can find a SIG, a special interest group that maybe you're a published author, so you can join the published author SIG group and you can have a small community that looks like you. And I say looks like you, that they're doing the same thing you're doing and kind
Similar
of
interests.
same journey, right?
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So that you can connect with them, or join the book club, or join the
Yeah.
virtual chapter, and then you get those extra monthly meetings of with CEU opportunities and just exposure to a whole group of people all over the country that's smaller, more intimate.
Yeah, you'll be able to put some faces to names that way. And there's no barrier to entry because with some of the special interest groups, the Speaking for Fees group, for example, there might be, you need to be speaking for 3 years and making money as a speaker for 3 years before you really can contribute. So look at the different groups based on your interest, I would say, and figure out where there's a fit. But certainly the virtual chapter and the book club are easy ones to jump in no matter where you are.
Right. And then the second thing I'll say is volunteer.
Oh
do
yeah.
a small volunteer opportunity. I volunteered. Oh, I'll tell you, one of the things, my first volunteer job was, well, I don't know if it was my first one. One of my volunteer jobs was a marketing job. Like it was a
Right.
marketing. And I'm like, I am not a marketing person. I know nothing about marketing,
Mhm.
but what they said was, we just need someone to be kind of a project leader. And
Okay.
so,
Oh, you've got that in spades.
right, exactly. So I was like,
Right.
well, okay, I can do that.
Right.
And what happened was, I learned so much about marketing
Mhm.
just through listening to the conversations that
Mhm.
it elevated my business. And
Mhm.
so this volunteer opportunity was actually a business growth opportunity for me
Right.
because
Right.
I got to learn something I didn't know anything about.
Well, tell me about it. I mean, I haven't hosted a podcast
I know
before. So
exactly.
this is, I'm like, parallel story here. I thought I'm going to actually, I've just decided a launch date for mine in 2022. And so I thought, what better way to learn than, and also there's a couple things. So as a productivity person, I'm motivated by other people showing up. And I thought we already have thousands of downloads a month based on the great work that was done to build this podcast over 3 years. We're 3 years in now. And so I thought, I've got a responsibility to show up for something. And I thought, this will light a fire. I have to actually show up for this. So I found that I've grown a lot through this really wonderful opportunity. And even before that too, when like I said, I'm in Canada, so Professional Organizers in Canada is the sister organization to NAPO. And I was a longtime volunteer there at ICD as well. I volunteered all consistently, and you never know what it's going to bring you. But it certainly is fulfilling in terms of learning and ability to make contributions. And then the network opportunities are phenomenal. So yes, here to volunteering. But the one thing I wanted to come back to that I was saying, I had a thought before. You were saying you joined in 2008, and I know it was you were starting your business at the same time, so revenue was catching up, to make you feel like you had that it made sense to invest in conference. Do you think, looking back, do you wish you had gone sooner? Would you do anything differently, sort of knowing what conference does for you and your business?
A great question. And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a very conservative. I had heard,
Yeah.
oh, conference is such a game changer.
Yeah.
Conference,
Yeah.
it lights you on fire. You get to
Yeah.
all this education. It's like, it's and all very true.
Yeah.
But being conservative. So I started in February, that's the of 2008, and conference was in April.
Yeah.
And so I knew I couldn't do 2008. I mean,
Right.
was opening
Right. Right.
my bank account in April. So,
Yeah.
but I could have, I like really could have, if I would have like had my wherewithal. And then 2009, I just didn't have, I felt like I didn't have the income to support going.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went in 2010, I have been ever since. And it
Right.
is a priority.
Right.
I prioritize it in my business budget every year because I know I get a boost personally, professionally.
Mm-hmm.
I like all that you leave and you're like riding the wave
Yeah.
until September. And then September hits, and that's my busy season. It's like boom. And
Yeah.
so it's amazing. It's good. And then you start planning for the next one.
That's right. Any tips in terms of making the most of attending conference or even any of the other opportunities, like making the time for it and prioritizing is one thing. I know after conference, for me, for example, I needed to budget some time to process and make sure I could act on everything I learned. So it was like conference was 4 days, but then there was another two that I needed to spend to actually make sure I capitalized on that investment.
Right. Right. I started giving myself time each evening of conference to gather my thoughts of what I learned that day and what really resonated. And that helped me come Monday after conference. When I got back to my office, it was like, okay, I've collected my highlights from every day. And these were the things I really resonated. Now, what do I want to prioritize?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, having a roommate at conference is key also, and finding a person that balances your energy level is also very important, because I have a roommate that I've had many years. I met her through the virtual chapter, and
Uh-huh.
we have the same energy level in the evening.
Right.
We both kind of quiet down,
Yeah.
we take our time,
Yeah.
we breathe, we read, we kind of intersperse some conversation. But that's key
Yeah.
to balancing yourself, because if I had a roommate that was high energy and wanted to talk all night, then I would be in really bad shape come Monday after
Right.
conference.
That's
Like, I
it.
wouldn't have that time to recover.
That is such an important point. And I'm thinking back to the money roommates I've had, and you're right. And it can absolutely be an uplifting extra layer to
Yeah.
conference too, especially, for highly sensitive people. I talk about that a bunch. We like some of that intimate one-on-one connection. And so that can be then part of the experience as well, which is very cool.
And just a roommate note, I'm just going to say it really quick. 2010, my first conference,
Yeah.
somebody on Point mentioned, hey, I'm looking for a roommate. And I'm like, oh, hey, that would be great. And I partnered up with someone I didn't even know
Yeah.
and had a great experience. It just
Yeah.
opened my eyes, because I didn't know anybody at
Yeah.
conference. And I was like, oh my gosh, she opened my eyes to a whole new world. It was wonderful.
Well, and that's true too. If you're going and you don't know anybody and you might be a little shy, it can be a real icebreaker. I think there are some activities designed to make first time attendees feel extra special and extra welcome and connected, which is really fabulous. But that extra layer of just being with someone else, it's always kind of have fun to have an automatic friend in the,
Yes,
in the
right, right,
group,
right.
right?
And go to, hey, I know you.
Exactly. Shall we go to dinner? Sounds great,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
I will say, if anybody comes to conference and you see me, pull me aside and you will be a friend. I promise. So
That's
say,
right.
hey, I
Yeah.
know you, and we'll chat.
Yeah. So if you're not watching this, if you're just listening right now, definitely head over to YouTube so you can see what Amy looks like and you'll be able to spot her in the crowd. So the visuals are useful sometimes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I want to bring us back just to Go Month, which is coming up. This is one of the first ways that you can then be a participant in the NAPO community. And if you're a longtime member, please pay attention to what is going to be published in all of the social media and through NAPO's various communication properties for opportunities where you can send something relevant to your clients and not only build the awareness of the organization, but also, as Amy said, highlight the fact you're part of a rich network of people. I've used that just the same way in my business too, saying I've got a group of people, I've got such a hive mind I can tap into for amazing insights. So please pay attention in January to the social media. I would like to say I would love to see more of you comment on social media and share your thoughts, piggyback on and add your tips. So then the thread becomes even richer with more and more insights. So it's a great starting point, and you can share your expertise in that forum as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, Claire. Great idea.
Yeah, it's that marketing thinking. So it's and just that bring value. If
Yeah,
you bring value, you open conversation. And
yeah.
that's what this can do for you in your business. So I'm excited for Go Month. You've given me a richer understanding of what to expect. I will be paying attention to the social media and looking for that content that I can bounce off and generously share. So thank you for bringing my understanding up, and for all our listeners as well. Is there anything final you'd like to say about NAPO and its rich? We talked about conference, we talked about special interest groups, we talked about chapters, we talked about book club. Are we missing anything?
Um, there's so much. I could just keep
Yeah,
talking and talking. I could
yeah,
talk all day about NAPO, but I don't think you want me here all day.
Well, yeah, we're going to wrap up, but we're going to come back on YouTube. We're going to have a little more exploration into another important question on YouTube. So I invite everyone to check us out there. But yeah, go to napo.net and have a look at the wealth of offerings there. You know, it's a tool to find an organizer by location. So if you're looking for someone in another part of the country, you can find who's there. And if you want member to member connection, dive into Point and just really explore the richness of topics there. You could spend days in there. So be specific and go hunting for something and you'll be amazed, right?
Very
So,
good. Thanks,
yeah.
Claire.
So Amy, I want to thank you for joining me today for this Exploration into Go month and beyond. I want to invite all our listeners, like I said, check out napo.net and the various social media channels that we have, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're all over the place sharing really rich content, and in January specifically focused on giving and sharing knowledge with the broader public. So this is a real opportunity for the public to come and understand what NAPO does as well. So until our next episode, please, as always, be safe, be kind to yourself, and enjoy your journey. So Amy, your background sounded so fascinating, and I've loved volunteering too. I wonder if you could share a little bit more about your volunteer experience in NAPO.
Yes. So funny thing, Claire, I was pretty much just reading what was on Point and things like that until I went to my first chapter or my first conference in 2010. And at that conference, I remember Laura Leist standing on the stage, and she was talking about creating this virtual chapter. And I knew locally in Omaha, Nebraska, we did not have an official NAPO visit chapter. We just had this informal group that met of about 10 of us. Okay. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be a part of that virtual chapter creation. What does this mean? I had no idea what this meant. Okay. So I'll just say that up front.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. Like 3 tables away, somebody had stood up, and she was one of the people helping with this chapter in formation. And so I went over and I tapped her on the shoulder, and I was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to do this. How can I help? And
Right.
I had only been a NAPO member for 2 years. I had just a starting business. I was new. I was new to the profession, and they were like, yes, come help. And they gave me a role. And so I worked on it for a year with a group of professionals. I learned so much. I learned things that like I had never been exposed to MailChimp. I'd never been exposed to WordPress. I've never been exposed to Free Conference Call. That was our platform at the time.
Right. Oh gosh, yes, it was.
I know.
Yes.
So I learned all of this, even Google Drive. I had never used Google Drive. I had never needed to. So I learned all of that in the process. And then when we became a chapter, they asked me to be the director of professional development. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? Like, what do I do? And they're like, you find all the speakers for the meetings. And I was like, oh, okay. So my first job was reaching out to, oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank, Julie Morgenstern.
Oh, right. Yeah, who we've just had on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Right. So here I am, a new organizer in the industry, and I'm reaching out to Julie and asking her if she will be our first guest. And then it turns out that we're going to record it. We're not going to have a live call. We're going to record it.
Okay.
So that when people join, they get this call.
Right.
So the whole thing was me interviewing Julie.
Wonderful.
And I was like, this is like a dream.
Right? Oh, I don't know about you, but I mean, her book, Organizing from the Inside Out, was the first book I bought. And I'm like, this is going to teach me how to be an organizer. Well, this is a great start. Right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started my journey of, oh my gosh, I get to reach out to all these really cool people, invite them, talk to them. And it just, elevated my confidence. It
Right.
elevated my business savvy. It elevated everything. And then
Yeah.
from there, I continued volunteering.
Yeah.
And then, a few years ago, I joined the board, and
Yeah.
then I ran for president. So
Yeah, well, and we're happy, so happy to have you there. I think you hit on something. I mean, when volunteering, it can be a big job. It can be as big as you want it to be. So you've got to figure out what that looks like for you. But if you can find something that marries your interest in growth and learning with some of your talents that already exist, what a sweet spot, right? So, I mean, I've really, really enjoyed that sense of being able to reach out to thought leaders and have really riveting conversations. On that note, if anybody's listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I would love to have an interview with so-and-so book author, speaker, thought leader, let me know. We're highlighting NAPO standout members, definitely, but we're also bringing in some real forward thinking people in the industry. So if you've got someone and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to hear her or him speak, then please send us a message, napopodcast.com, and you can find a button there that will a link to send your question or feedback or any social media post. By all means, let us know, because that is one of the great joys, certainly for me in this role, and as you mentioned, for your start in NAPO.
Right. I just want to put a little tidbit on that. I'm reading Indistractable right now.
Are you? Mm-hmm.
Yes, by what's the
Near
gentleman?
AL. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am loving it. Great book.
Yeah, I see him promoted all over the place now in social media with a Mind Valley masterclass. You can get a lot out of listening to that podcast episode. He really brings his topics to life. And then that book it's a gem. There's a lot of incredible ways to change your thinking about being distracted. So yeah.
Yes,
right?
I love it.
Good
And
stuff.
You know what? All came from NAPO.
That's correct. Yeah, putting a bow on that very nicely, Amy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your volunteering story. And I hope that encourages anyone listening to think about how you might get involved that way.
Right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care.